مرد آهنی قسمت سوم. ژانر اکشن، ماجراجویی، فانتزی. کارگردان شین بلک. فیلمنامه شین بلک و درو پیرس. تهیه کننده کوین فیج. کمپانی های تهیه کننده مارول استودیوز، پارامونت پیکچرز و DMG انترتینمنت. بر اساس داستان مرد آهنی اثر استنلی و لری لیبر. بازیگران رابرت داونی جونیور، گوینت پالترو، بن کنزی، گای پیرس و دان چیدل. موسیقی متن برایان تایلر. پخش از والت دیزنی استودیوز. زمان فیلم 130 دقیقه. تاریخ اکران می 2013. بودجه ساخت 200 میلیون دلار. کشور سازنده آمریکا. محل فیلم برداری کشورهای آمریکا، چین و هند. رتبه فیلم در سایت IMDb 7.4.
Got a lot of apologies to make.
Nothing's been the same since New York. You experience things, and then they're over. I can't sleep. And when I do, I have nightmares. Honestly, there's 100 people who want to kill me. I hope I can protect the one thing I can't live without.
Ladies, children, sheep. Some people call me a terrorist. I consider myself a teacher. Lesson number 1. Heroes. There is no such thing.
در سپتامبر 2011 استدیوهای مارول برای فیلم برداری فیلم در استدیوی AUE اسکرین جیمز در ویلمینگتون کارولینای شمالی به توافق رسیدند. دفتر فیلمسازی میشیگان هم جزو انتخاب‌ها بود، اما در نهایت نتوانست با درصد مالیاتی کارولینای شمالی رقابت کند. در اپریل 2012 بن کینگزلی برای بازی در نقش یکی از اشرار مرد آهنی 3 وارد مذاکره شد و در همان هفته کوین فیج تهیه کننده فیلم اعلام کرد تا 5 هفته آینده فیلم برداری مرد آهنی 3 در کارولینای شمالی آغاز می شود و عنوان کرد محور این فیلم تونی استارک است که از نیمه نخست فیلم مرد آهنی الهام گرفته شده. او همه چیزش را از دست خواهد داد، حسابی گرفتار خواهد شد و برای خلاص شدن از این مهلکه باید از تمام ذکاوتش استفاده کند. چند روز بعد شرکت والت دیزنی چین، استدیوهای مارول و DMG انترتینمنت اعلام کردند که برای تهیه مرد آهنی 3 در چین به توافق رسیدند و قرار شد DMG با کمک دیزنی مسئولیت پخش فیلم در چین را نیز بر عهده بگیرد. طرح فیلم در اصل برگرفته از اکسترمیس و داستان‌های مصور مرد آهنی نوشته وارن الیس در سالهای 2005 و 2006 بود.
The great thing about Iron Man 3 is we really are in continuation of the Avengers. We don't have to set up who he is, so we can go back to some of the things that I think made the franchise fly to begin with.
The Mandarin must be stopped.
There is something original, dare I use the word, intelligent approach to this film. I was really delighted to join.
You'll never see me coming.
It's interesting to come into something so iconic. It's thrilling to walk on and see the suit and, oh, Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow. It's all really exciting stuff.
I miss you, Happy.
Yeah, I miss you too. but the way it used to be.
I don't know what's going on with you.
It's fun to come back as Happy. He takes very seriously working for Stark Industries. He's very protective.
You were supposed to be issued a security badge?
Happy is okay.
Killian and Pepper worked together in the past. He's trying to get her back into his world again. He's kind of a dangerous character, really.
There's 100 people who want to kill me. Things are different now. I have to protect the one thing that I can't live without. That's you.
Robert was really interested in having Pepper do more in this movie. I got you.
I got you first.
The relationship between Tony and Rhodey is deepening.
We really wanted Rhodey to be able to match Tony in his bravado and his wit.
We do need backup.
That's your department. Are those?
Yeah.
They're really honoring what we did and expanding upon it.
Just good old-fashioned revenge.
Of course, it's done with all the fireworks and action, but there's really heart underneath it.
This is the most emotionally satisfying, entertaining of the three. Well, at this point, because with the first two Iron Man movies and then Avengers and now doing Iron Man 3, there's obviously the sense of continuity. So I see the same faces, you know, every so often, more often than not. And we're kind of on the same meditation of this story that Stan Lee came up with that was essentially a second-tier superhero. But there's something timely about it, and I think that it wound up being I don't know, interesting and entertaining to people. I think part of what really made it work was it was tangible, you know, and now legacy, the human beings who make all this tech and moving forward. It's like you can reach out as we go from movie to movie, and you're feeling more and more like you're seeing something that's become part of the collective unconscious. Like on a certain level, this stuff is real, you know, and it's also kind of feasible technologically. So I think that's what made it successful is we had a group of talented people, and we did something that kind of bridged a gap between the unfeasibility of most superhero genre movies and the kind of movies like I don't know, a James Bond or a Mission Impossible or whatever that are grounded in things that we think could happen. The relationship with Pepper is obviously the kind of center of the movie, and contrary to my own designs, it seems like this time I'm much less thinking about, you know, how do I come off and this and that. I'm thinking about the other characters. I'm thinking about all the things. There's kind of a checklist of stuff that we always thought maybe we should do. One of them was we always felt like Tony and Rhodey should be at Neptune's Net because it's up the road from where Tony lives, and it's a biker bar, and we thought, what if they're two kind of bikers at a bar? Type deal. So and John and I, and then Shane and I, and even Joss has contributed to this, obviously, is that there was always this kind of Christmas list that we never got to execute because story or time or money or whatever got in the way. And it seems like, without it being convoluted, a lot of those wishes are kind of coming true in Iron Man 3. I was surprised and delighted and obviously very much in favor of him directing this. And as John has moved on into other realms of activity and had his other successes and other experiences, it's interesting to see that now it was Shane and I reaching out to John to kind of remind us of where he was heading the ship to begin with. So, but the great thing about this story is it's dramatic, and it's pretty deep and dark at some points, but it also is very quintessentially Shane Black. I love movies where there are things that you forgot were even set up that pay off. Well, to me, it's the perfect balance of not too far and not far enough. And again, a lot of this happens just by kind of like dialing in the servos as you get closer and closer to shooting, and all of the great department heads we have, and everybody has a take on what should we do next. I remember in the Extremis series, at a certain point, Tony internalizes Extremis, and I was like, dude, that's where this has got to go. And it's not impossible that it could, but the other thing you always have to think is, how far is too far? At what point have you taken all your toys out and you've essentially burned out any possibility of ever having another one? At the same time, how do you want to make each one feel like it's definitive and you're not keeping your best cards, you know, on the table.
در پی اکران مرد آهنی 2 و درگیری کمپانی‌های پارامونت پیکچرز، مارول و شرکت والت دیزنی که شریک جدید مارول بود، زمان تولید قسمت سوم فیلم در حالی از ابهام قرار گرفت. در 18 اکتبر 2010 والت دیزنی قبول کرد بابت پخش جهانی فیلم مرد آهنی 3 و انتقام جویان حداقل $115 میلیون به کمپانی پارامونت پرداخت کند و سرانجام این سه کمپانی تاریخ اکران قسمت سوم فیلم مرد آهنی را 3 می 2013 اعلام کردند. جان فاوریو کارگردان مرد آهنی و مرد آهنی 2 در دسامبر 2010 اعلام کرد که کارگردانی مرد آهنی 3 را به دلیل کار بر روی پروژه قلمرو جادو بر عهده نخواهد گرفت، ولی همچنان در مقام تهیه کنندگی اجرایی این فیلم باقی خواهد ماند. شین بلک در فوریه 2011 برای کارگردانی و نگارش فیلمنامه این فیلم وارد مذاکرات نهایی شد و اعلام کرد فیلم درباره مبارزه دو مرد در لباس‌های آهنی نیست و بیشتر شبیه فیلم‌های هیجان انگیز تام کلنسی می باشد و مرد آهنی با اشرار دنیای واقعی مبارزه خواهد کرد.
Marvel has stressed this thing, the crucible element, that we take Tony Stark and we sort of break him down and put him through the ringer. And there may even be parts in this movie where he's not so much in the Iron Man suit, but where he's more like a, you know, what if Tony Stark had to be James Bond for a little bit and didn't have his Iron Man suit? And that's a lot of fun too, is when you see him do some action stuff, not as Iron Man, but as Tony. And it's part of him sort of being reduced, being broken, and having to reassess things and then stand back up and reclaim what's his by the end of the movie. But that journey and that crucible, I think, is what's going to be fun, because we're going to see Robert within the course of just a few days put through the paces. And he's the one to bring that sort of a thing to life. Robert is the kind of actor that challenges you in a way that's not antagonistic, it's exciting. So he'll make you want to say, oh yeah? Well, watch this. What do you think now? And he goes, well, that's okay. And what do I do to please this guy? But then at the same time, you've stepped up to a level. I've always said that it's probably better to hang around people you admire instead of people who admire you. You know, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps things fresh. And hanging around Robert keeps me on my toes. You know, he's a guy I got to constantly work to keep up with, work to sort of understand and appreciate, and it's just a really challenging and invigorating kind of creative relationship, and I feel it brings out my best.
When I heard from Shane, I hadn't in fact seen Iron Man 1 or 2, so he very kindly sent me a wonderful package of drawings, graphics, Marvel comic artwork, and of course the two movies which I watched whilst filming another film in where did I see it now? New Orleans. I watched it, and it was very, very enjoyable to watch how the characters are not stereotypical. They're really layered, and I'm very inspired by Robert and Gwyneth in particular. I don't single them out, but they're the sort of spine of the film. And then Don, of course, wonderful, has joined, and it's not your usual copy of a copy of a copy. There is something original about the dare I use the word, intelligent approach to this film. I think the rule when one is approaching what is rather lazily called the bad guy is that the actor has to accept that those characters who are the polar end of the film, the kind of anchor, a dark anchor of the film, they have a sense of righteousness that actually normal good people don't have. Normal good people are really quite modest about themselves and rather self-deprecating, like our hero and heroine are. I think that I prep from the words on the page. I have a great respect for the writer, having come from classical theatre in the UK. I have a great respect for how much pain and trouble and joy the writer has taken into putting those words onto the page. I bring them to life. I'm not given to rewriting a single word of what's on the page. I like to make what's there work, because what is there is the logic of the character as perceived by a very gifted writer, Drew in our case, and Shane. And I respect that enormously, and I say, well, what can I find from the words on the page? Then I go from there. Quite simple, really.
فیلمبرداری در 23 می 2012 در استدیوی AUE اسکرین جیمز در ولمینگتون کارولینای شمالی توسط جان تول و با دوربین ابری الکسا آغاز گشت. همچنین مرکز اپیک گیمز، مؤسسه ساس و فرودگاه بین المللی ولمینگتون دیگر لوکیشن های فیلمبرداری بودند. در 15 آگوست تولید فیلم به دلیل جراحت مچ پای رابرت داونی جونیور برای مدتی متوقف شد. عوامل فیلم در اول اکتبر وارد فلوریدا شدند تا در ساحل دانیا در جنوب فلوریدا به ادامه فیلم برداری بپردازند. در همان روز بود که رابرت داونی جونیور پس از بهبود جراحت مچ پایش به کار بازگشت و در نهایت فیلم برداری در آمریکا 7 نوامبر در ولمینگتون به پایان رسید. فیلم برداری در پکن چین در 10 دسامبر از سر گرفته شد و 1 هفته به طول انجامید و در ژانویه 2013 عوامل فیلم همراه با شین بلک برای ادامه فیلم برداری راهی هیدرآباد و بنگالوروی هند شدند و در آخر ساحل منهتن و سالن نمایش چینی TCL آخرین لوکیشن های فیلم برداری بودند و فیلم برداری در همان ماه پایان یافت.
I mean, it's great to be in a movie that has a lot of action and be able to be a part of the action. So that's great. And yeah, the relationship between Tony and Rhodey is deepening, and we're, you know, getting more a glimpse into who each of these men are and what challenges they face being in these seats that they're in, that both of them have some ambivalence about. So yeah, I was glad to crack the script and see that. Shane definitely has a style about his writing and a very sense of arch sort of sense of humor, which feeds right into and leans right into sort of the mythology that's already been created with these characters. So it's a good fit, I think. And he's also a very collaborative director, so it's nice to have the opportunity to be on a set where your input is respected and welcomed. The success of the films are based on not just all the mythology that goes before and the comic books and these characters that people have grown up with for 50 years, but the way that Marvel is able to intricately weave these storylines and have people show up in each other's storylines, and how after each film there's a departure point where the next storyline could come in, and they're just smart about, I think, letting the breadcrumbs out for you to follow it to the next thing, and there's an excitement that gets generated for the next myth and how is it going to be told, and they're just very smart about it. And I also think there's a real sense of humor about it, so it's not taken too seriously, and it's not so precious that it can't be malleable and pushed and pulled. And I think that also is a lot of fun and gives the audience a lot to key in. They know they're going to be on a fun ride. I think that you're going to be able to come together on a set with other talented actors and really have a lot of fun, like I said, with all the best bells and whistles, and get to, I've been spending the last couple hours on wires and flying and getting to do stunts and really get my hands dirty, so to speak, and have a lot of visceral fun with these characters. And then, my scenes with Robert, where we kind of really get to go back and forth, and those are fun acting challenges just to work with him. He's got a very facile mind and is very quick, and we just have a lot of fun figuring out who these guys are and what we're going to do.
It's so important that each character in any movie have specific personality, so you understand the character and you care for the character, and they never break out of the way they should be and they should react.
I'm Tony Stark. I build neat stuff. I got a great girl. And occasionally, save the world. So why can't I sleep?
You elected me on a single platform. I will defend this country at all costs. The Mandarin must be stopped.
You don't know who I am. You'll never see me coming.
What are you going to do about these attacks?
The whole world's gonna be watching.
The question, where is Tony Stark?
Things are different now. I have to protect the one thing that I can't live without. That's you.
Just to start. Today is the first day of what's left of your life. I'm gonna offer the choice. Do you want an empty life or a meaningful death?
You're not a man. You're nothing more than a maniac. I'm not afraid of you. No politics here. Just good old-fashioned revenge. We do need backup.
That's your department.
Here's my boys.
کریس تاونسند مسئول جلوه‌های ویژه فیلم بود که تا آن موقع روی بیش از 2000 صحنه و در 17 استودیوی مختلف جلوه‌های ویژه کار کرده بود. او بعدها اعلام کرد که از ژانویه 2013 تا پایان کار فیلم در ماه اپریل بعضی از عوامل فنی فقط یک روز استراحت کردند و در کل 14 تا 18 ساعت در روز مشغول کار بر روی فیلم بودند. دیجیتال دومین، اسکنلاین VFX و تریکستر هر کدام به صورت جداگانه روی صحنه‌های مختلف زره مارک 42 کار کردند و از مدل‌های دیجیتال مختلفی برای این کار استفاده شد. همچنین در زمانی که تولید فیلم به خاطر جراحت پای رابرت داونی جونیور متوقف شده بود، تعدادی از صحنه‌ها با حضور بدلکار فیلم برداری شدند.
All right, it's go time. Good evening. I'm pleased to announce the imminent arrival of your bouncing, badass baby brother. The great thing about Iron Man 3 is Tony's personal journey and the journey of his technology are, I think, second to none.
He's been doing nothing but building suits and suits and suits and suits. It's an obsession.
At the beginning of this movie, there are 42 suits.
I got a ton of new tech. I got a prehensile suit. I got bomb disposal. Catches explosions midair. The end result, which we see early on in the movie, the most outlandish and far out tech version of Tony's experiments, Mark 42. I think what's cool is that there is subdermal implants into which you can call various parts of the suit. Go!
It's still rock solid, still protects him from bullets, but it's also flexible enough that he can go and just throw the suit off him at someone else.
I got you.
I got you first.
What the guys at Legacy, Lindsay and Shane have done with this suit, each suit gets better and better.
This is the Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through 7.
Also, at some point, other suits intervene, and there's a bunch of them.
شین بلک، کارگردان مرد آهنی 3، درباره این فیلم عنوان کرد: در هنگام ساخت قسمت سوم یک فیلم همیشه باید کاری کنید که در 2 قسمت اول انجام نشده و داستان فیلم همچنان باید کشش و جذابیت خودش را داشته باشد تا قسمت‌های پیشین را به اوج برساند. همچنین باید به این سوال پاسخ دهید که چرا داستان در 2 قسمت قبلی به طور کامل روایت نشده. ما به این شیوه عمل کردیم و به همین دلیل من از نتیجه کار بسیار راضیم.